Rafael Santi, fully known as Raffaello Sanzio da Urbino. He was born on April 6th, 1483, and he died on April 6th, 1520, at 37 years old, which was quite young for even the period he was in, which was like high Renaissance, because his friends like Vinci lived like 67, or Michelangelo was like 88 when he died, which is, yeah, kind of lots, I guess, for that time, especially. Like, it was like 16th century, you know? They didn't have fancy medicine and whatnot. And Raphael was the only child of 3 to survive infancy. He was an Italian painter and architect of the High Renaissance. So I guess the most popular known artists are from that time. But before we start, I just want to do a little disclaimer that it's a little bit different take. So if you are too sensitive or too religious, please just go. This video is focused on rather controversial parts of Raphael's life, because dudes in black dresses tried to hide the shit for centuries because it don't sound good for the PR. But for me, it's more human side of Santi, who wasn't that saint. But it's okay now. We live in the future. We can abolish slut shaming and be more true with ourselves and other fellow humans. So let's just fucking go. So his father was a court painter, which was someone that was painting a royal family portrait. And he died when Raphael was like 11 years old. And it seems that he kind of took over his workshop. So he was into and around painting his whole life. And when he was 16, he painted the resurrection of Christ. He was 16 at the time, so it's kind of impressive. But the angel and Jesus, they just look stoned as fuck. He was hella productive, painting lots and lots of stuff. Overall, he painted 184 paintings. And Santi had 3 phases and 3 styles, kinda. His early years were influenced by Pietro Perugino, but he was shit though, like I don't recommend his work. But his influence is most evident when comparing Marriage of the Virgin and Perugino's Christ handling the keys to Saint Peter. Same year, Raphael painted Young Man with an Apple, which I just included because I don't know, it's funny because it's exactly what it describes and it's perfect. But this first stage of Raphael was incredibly fucking boring, so I'm not gonna touch on it. So let's move on to middle years in Florence. In 1506, he painted Lady with a Unicorn, which is just, what am I gonna say? It's just cute of an idea to do. And also, you can start seeing influence of like Florence painting. Like, look at the background there. It's like Mona Lisa-esque type of shit. So you know it was this type of phase. Same year, 1506, the Holy Family with the Palm Tree. This one is funny because little J is like, what the fuck is this? Did you put goddamn flour in my berry? From the same year comes also his most recognizable self-portrait. He painted himself, so we know how he looked at 23. What a smooth, handsome young boy. He was probably good with women. Wink, wink. Or maybe hookers. No, how dare I suggest that? I mean, he was only hanging out with Da Vinci at the time, who was caught with the male prostitute, though Santi preferred spending his money on professional models, and the fact that they slept with him afterwards had nothing to do with their profession. Wink, wink. 1507 to 1508, the Virgin and the Child with Saint and the John Baptist. The fact that this one has word virgin in it makes it 100 times funnier. 1507, Bridgewater Madonna Would you look at that? Do you think he had a royalty card in brothel? Or less, Madonna? I mean, look, even the kid thinks it's obvious. Portrait of a young woman, La Muta. Don't tell me bitch don't look like the type that has a fiance and still fucks around. 1508, the Nicole Cooper Madonna. And my man, I'm feeling ya. That was last of his paintings before he moved to Rome, which I think sums up his Florence time very well. He is the child here, happy, satisfied, and ready to rumble. The third phase of his career was Rome. That was the last phase he was creating in. So let's start with the Garvagger Madonna. Garvagger? Garvagger? What the fuck? A Garvagger? I don't fucking know. 1509, 1510. So she has darker hair. And the blonde kid gives the flower to a darker hair kid. It's like he's saying, now I'm changing the flower to darker haired one. Also, wait, does it have two Jesuses? Nope, that was just Jesus' cousin, John, which was similar age to him. Did you know he had a cousin though? I mean, yeah, invisible guy got her pregnant. So maybe some Alabama shit was going on there and no one wanted to admit it. In 1510, he also painted the Alba Madonna, which is Alabama in Italian. No, it's not, but which is like another description. I mean, another representation of Jesus and his cousin John, but circle. Same year, he also painted the School of Athens, and I bet some of you had no idea he painted this one. But you probably know some people on there, which I'm gonna kindly remind you of. So, we have Leonardo da Vinci as Plato, we have Aristotle, we have Anaximander, Pythagoras, Archimedes, Aeschines, Socrates, Michelangelo as Heraclitus, Diogenes, and yeah, a bunch of famous like Pythagoras and shit like this. I'm gonna just fucking display all of it. Speaking of his famous paintings, you probably saw but had no idea he painted this Sistine Madonna. And at first you think like, what the fuck, I didn't see that anywhere. But look at the bottom. This painting is responsible for these fucking angels that are everywhere on like grandma stuff for some goddamn reason. He might not even paint these because there's a rumor that he was just sketching paintings and letting his students to color them. And sometimes this coloring involved painting the whole thing by student and Raphael just signing it at the end. But I don't know. In Rome, he was hanging out with none other than Michelangelo, another gay dude, which was smart because he liked to fuck bitches. And gay dude are not only the best wingmen, but they also won't fuck your female friend, but somehow can make them horny. Trust me, personal experience here. So shout out to my gay friends. And they had to be friends because most famous graffiti artists, then like, you know, Michelangelo did Sistine Chapel ceiling, which is like the most famous fresco of his. So Michelangelo painted Sistine Chapel ceiling and shit. But Santi did paint on walls too. He created multiple frescoes known as Raphael rooms, which kinda sounds like hotel per hour, if you know what I mean. But the Raphael rooms consisted of 4 rooms from suite of reception in the Apostolic Palace, now the part of Vatican Museum in the Vatican City. And there were like 4 main rooms. Room of signature, which consisted School of Athens, for example. Room of Heliodorus. I don't know. Room of Fire in the Borgo. I think they misspelled that. I think they meant to say Room of the Fire in the Bongo. Woo! And the Hall of Constantine. After the death of Julius in 1513, with 2 rooms frescoed, Pope Leo X continued the program, and following Raphael's death in 1520, his assistant, him, finished the project with the frescoes in the Sala di Constantino. Anyways, back to canvas. In 1516, he painted the spicy one because she was known as his mistress, woman with a veil, which you can see she grabbing boob through like 10 fucking layers, but still fire emoji. Which whom, couple years later, he painted even more spicy one called La Fornarina, and her name was Margherita Luti, the daughter of baker, which was Fornaro, named Francesco Luti from Siena. So the title literally means daughter of a baker. And many people blame her for his young death. Well, probably because you can see boobs on this painting and it's not called the fucking Virgin. And also, cause of his death doesn't help, which official cause of his death was excessive lovemaking. He got fever and stuff. I mean, he probably had an STD at this point, but there's been some research nowadays that suggests he got pneumonia, but I don't know. I think that was the smart-ass doctor's fault that were just fucking draining him out of blood as a fucking cure, which was really common at that time. He never married, but in 1514 he became engaged to Maria Bibbiena, Cardinal Medici Bibbiena's niece. He seems to have been talked into this by his friend the cardinal. His lack of enthusiasm seems to be shown by the marriage not having taken place before she died in 1520. He didn't want her because he was basically a celebrity, so he got bitches. And he was really into that baker's girl at the end. So he had a good life, productive life, and fun one. But he finally died on Good Friday, April 6th, which was possibly his 37th birthday. In his acute illness, which lasted 15 days, Raphael was composed enough to confess to his sins, receive the last rites, and put his affairs in order. He dictated his will, in which he left sufficient funds to his mistress's care, ensured to his lawyer's servant Baviera, and left most of his studio to Giulio Romano and Penny. At his request, Raphael was buried in the Pantheon. Raphael's funeral was extremely big, attended by huge crowds. Apparently, some bishops in pink dress were handling his coffin, and even Pope kissed his hand, which I guess it's better than child. The inscription of his marble sarcophagus, written by Pietro Bembo, reads, "Here lies that famous Raphael, by whom nature feared to be conquered while he lived, and when he was dying, feared herself to die."